If our co-host, if you guys can start letting people in, we're ready to let people in too.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Maybe in the chat, if you want to let us know where you're joining us from across the country, if you're not in Georgia, or even if you are in Georgia, maybe telling us which city, where you're coming from. We'd love to know. Hey, Rachel or Kari, can you maybe read the chat? I'm almost finished sharing this watch party to see if where people are coming from.
Yeah, I would love to. Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're so excited that you're taking time out of your day to celebrate Georgia. It was a hard-fought battle, and we ended up on the victorious side. So I'm so excited. Wow, it looks like there's people from everywhere. So hi, Deborah from Tilton, Deborah from Cary, North Carolina. Welcome. Another Greenville, North Carolina, Yoshi. Oh, hey, Yoshi. We got New Jersey, of course, Miss Rachel. Boca Raton, Florida. Scranton, Pennsylvania. Hi, Patricia. Atlanta, Georgia. Yay, we got a Georgian. Our very own Sharon from Southampton, New England. So welcome from across the pond. Madeline from Southwest Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome, Jeannie. Kimi from Atlanta. Ooh, I'm loving all these Georgia. Zach Biden from Woodbridge, Virginia. Love your last name. Thank you for joining us.
Oh wait, Zach Biden. I think that's a puppy.
Is that a puppy? Well, I love that name. Oh, Amanda. Oh, hey, Amanda and Zach Biden puppy. I'm gonna name we're getting a puppy soon, so that's a name on the list now. Letitia from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome. Deborah from North Carolina again. Hello, Clarksville, Tennessee. Man, from everywhere. Washington, Georgia. Lillian, thank you for joining us. Bubby from Coral Springs, Florida. Columbus, Georgia. Felicia, thank you for joining us. Look at this. This is so fantastic. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Courtney, hello. Shari from Indiana. Woohoo! Yes, let's do this. Christine, hi, Christine Black from New Jersey, one of the Jersey girls. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Man, I am so excited to, California. We got San Francisco. I'm from San Diego. Welcome, Kathleen. Hi, Peggy from Conyers, Georgia. Wow, look at everybody.
Thank you, everyone. I just, so we have this streaming live on Facebook. That's what I was doing, trying to share it across the group. So I think everything is running smoothly. I have to just send one more person the Zoom link and then we can get started. Technology. Okay. All right. So again, thank you everyone for coming. We'll get started maybe in 1 more minute. I'm just going to give a few more people a chance to hop on. But again, just like Hari was saying, thank you for taking time out of your evening. And I'm so proud of everyone for taking this moment to celebrate, because we just did something huge from the general election into the runoff. And it's so important that we take this moment to celebrate and enjoy those victories, because, you know, it can be few and far between, or it feels like that sometimes. So thanks again for showing up to join us today. So give about 30 more seconds and then we're going to get going. I had some great music planned, but we just don't want you, Facebook to penalize or take the music down since we don't have the copyright, but you know, we just make do. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started so we can stay on track. So my name is Robin Donaldson. I'm here based in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm one of the founders of 2 Facebook groups. One is Team Stacey Abrams for Warnock and Ossoff, and I'll talk a little bit about that group. And that's kind of how I came to this moment to be with all of you. And then there was another group I started for Joe Biden. It was Joe Biden for Georgia, and it's now Biden-Harris for Georgia 2020. So it was through these groups that we were able to start building a digital grassroots movement here in Georgia for Joe, and of course to support Stacey Abrams' work. And then it morphed into supporting Georgia through the runoffs. And this is how these groups are how I met a lot of these people who are on this Zoom today, and you'll hear from them. And then, you know, a lot of us, we haven't ever met each other in person. Some of us, we've never even heard each other's voices. We've just been interacting in the digital space. And so I thought it would be really neat for all of us to come together to celebrate and to enjoy our victories. So that's kind of like what inspired this whole evening. So again, thank you for coming. So right now we have everybody muted, only because we just want to keep everything organized and not have a lot of feedback and things like that and background noise. But there will be an opportunity for other people, you know, to share, you know, at different points of our program. And for those of you who are planning to speak, you know, I'll introduce you and then we'll get you unmuted to make sure you are able to share your remarks and thoughts. If you have any questions, feel free to put them into the chat, or if you want to just, you know, make remarks along the way or talk amongst each other in the chat box, just click on the chat box down below and you can talk there. And we really don't have, I mean, we have a little bit of a program and then we'll have, you know, some discussion, you know, as well. But the main thing is, like, we're not really here to, you know, talk about Trump or the Republicans or, you know, the craziness that's going on, because we hear enough about that. This is a time for us to just really soak in our victory and really enjoy the fact that we've come this far and that we've won. And this has been, you know, the longest, most grueling campaign cycle that we've seen probably in our lifetimes, just for the sheer amount of candidates who ran and the amount of time that it took, you know, all the debates that we had and everything else, and then to then have an extended campaign season over the holiday season with the runoff. So, so yeah, it's important to stop and enjoy those victories, especially when you're doing this work with political organizing or social justice organizing. When you get those wins, you have to really embrace them and, you know, take the time to enjoy them and then go forward. It's the only way that you're going to be able to, like, keep going, because there's so many, you know, disappointments a lot of times. So just wanted to introduce myself and say hi to everyone. So this beautiful collage, Nicole Hartman, one of the admins, was so kind enough to pull all these photos and put them together. And it's, if you ever go to our Team Stacy Facebook page, during the runoffs, everybody was posting their I voted Georgia peach stickers and telling their stories. And it was so uplifting and inspiring to see how diverse Georgia is, and how diverse our voting bloc is here in Georgia. And people who weren't from Georgia, I often heard from a lot of them said that they learned more about Georgia through seeing these photos that people were posting. So thank you to everybody who posted photos. And this is just like scratching the surface of the people who were posting photos. And so I want to just briefly bring on Yoshi. I know it's his son's birthday tonight, and so I know he's going to have to cut out at some point, but I'm just going to stop share real quick. Yoshi, he commissioned the famous Obama Hope poster, the tricolored Hope poster back in 2008. And I connected with him along the way around the runoff time. And he has provided so much artwork in the digital space. And it was so uplifting, inspiring for me, because it was such a long, political season. And so it was great to have an artist, especially, someone like him who, is so supportive of the political art world. And so are you on here, Yoshi? I thought I saw him in here. Let me see. Oh, wait, here he is. Okay. Okay, you there, Yoshi?
I am. Hello.
Hi.
You are probably going to hear some screaming children, and you're definitely going to hear pots clanking in the background as I'm making Shabbat dinner at my kid's request. But I could not miss an opportunity just to thank you and to thank all of the members of this great crew for all the work that was done. I am one of those people who, and I think I've told you this, who after working all day for literally months and all night every month on this campaign, would check into the Facebook group because it fed and nourished my soul to see all of the voters so proud of taking action to reshape Georgia and reshape our future as a country in the process. And it was our joy. I am here representing a team of 40 and 250 artists who worked around the clock to make animations. I don't know if you guys saw them. They were making things as detailed as all of the Divine Nine. Every one of the sororities and fraternities got their own Go Vote Early pieces. It was every county that, you guys have a lot of counties in Georgia, let me tell you. I've learned that. We made content for every county, and it was just, it was so rewarding, because what we learned through this process was that if we just support organizers locally, and specifically if we just support women organizers locally, and specifically if we just support Black women locally, we win. And that's what we did. And it was, it was something I will raise my kids and I will tell them about. I'm super proud of what we did in support of what you guys did in Georgia.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. When I worked on Obama in 2008 in Florida, and when we were cleaning out our offices, everybody always wanted to get the Hope, the famous, Hope poster of Obama's face. And I was so happy. I got there really early that morning when we were cleaning out the office, and I was able to get it. So to think that since that point that there was something else, so huge that you could be a part of with all the artists is tremendous.
So if it puts
I have some of your graphics.
Any context, we launched that on MySpace. So the world has changed quite a bit since MySpace. And the thing that's, I think if I can leave you guys with a takeaway that we learned on this, is that not everybody shares the same stuff. My mom will share a very different piece of content than a DJ who lives in Macon. will share a very different thing than a punk rock kid in Savannah. And what we need to do as a movement is give people the tools they need to be their own best advocate. And so what we tried to do was try to make the stuff that the campaigns themselves wouldn't. And that, and because the reality is there are a lot of great photos of Stacy and of Ossoff and of Warnock, but there weren't that many video game pieces of artwork for any of them. And so we tried to diversify the content in a way that would invite lots of people to the table. And so as you guys move forward with whatever organizer you're doing, wherever you're doing it, try to I would just say, try to think about where people are instead of where you want them to be, where they actually live as opposed to where you hope they live. And the reality is if we all do that, then we're going to create a more inclusive space for organizers and for participants in the future.
Yes, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So I have a few of your teams, different graphics and things like that. So they're definitely going to be part of the program. I'm sure a lot of people, if you're on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you've seen them.
You can see them all, and I'll put a link in the chat.
Yeah,
all of it, stuff.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, he's going to put a link in there. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy birthday to your son. Have a wonderful evening. Wonderful. Okay, so let's see. I am going to go quickly back to, let's see. All right, so originally when I started this whole, let's see, I'm sorry, one second. Originally when I started this whole Facebook group, I knew I couldn't do it by myself. So I had reached out to a young man named David. I don't even know how David and I met. I don't know if he's in here quite yet. I don't think he's in here quite yet, but I knew I couldn't just start this Facebook group alone. So I had reached out to David, and David is the one who was able to help me out with getting the group started. And so when he comes on, I definitely want to introduce you all to him, and we'll just continue to talk a little bit about what we were able to do with our groups. So today we're celebrating all the digital grassroots and volunteer groups. And sorry, it's going a little slow here. Okay. And the inspiration of tonight is built off of this quote that I love by Margaret Mead. She says, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And I just want to underline thoughtful, committed citizens. And so that's what I feel like what we've all done is that a lot of times people are, they see elections and campaigns, on the news and, or from pundits and things like that, but they're not really understanding of how big of an operation elections are and how important just everyone from the candidate all the way to the person who puts a sign in their yard, all of it's important and it all builds upon each other. And everyone's not going to be the candidate. Everyone's not going to be the person who puts the sign in their yard, but you just have to find where you fit in. And that's kind of what I want to highlight today, because there's so many unsung heroes and people out there who are doing these things as a labor of love or because they really believe in a cause, and there's money coming out of their pocket, time and energy that they're taking away from their family, from their work, from sleep, et cetera. And so again, that's why I wanted to, bring us all together. And I have a second quote under here, which comes from David Plouffe, who was Obama's former campaign manager, and he's the author of A Citizen's Guide to Beating Donald Trump. And I really looked up to David Plouffe. I still do, but David Plouffe and David Axelrod, I just really looked up to them in regards to strategy and to everything they've been able to do in the organizing space from the Obama campaign. And I started reading his book in 2019, and we came to a point where I just completely disagreed with David. David did not believe that we could flip Georgia. And he has a podcast. He was so bent on that we're going to flip Florida. And I really almost could not get through the rest of the book because I just could not believe that he didn't think that we could flip Georgia. And then I really started to say, like, am I crazy, like, for thinking we can do it, you know? But he has a line in there that really stuck out to me in 2019. So he says, Georgia, believe it or not, may be a top target as well in 2020 in regards to being a battleground state. And he says, but it would take a Herculean effort by volunteers in the state to put together a winning coalition. And then he goes on to say, you don't have to wait for the campaign. And again, you know, that's another important point too. You can't always wait for the campaign or the candidate to get to your state for you to start doing something. You have to start organizing yourself. And that's what so many people in Georgia started to do way before any of the national campaigns or the national party came here, especially in regards to the general. And then I think by that time, you know, leading to the runoff, they believed that we could do it. So let's see. So the page teams, oh, sorry guys, this is like my first PowerPoint here. Okay. So Team Stacey Abrams, it was founded, this is our Facebook group. It was founded in March of 2020. It started off as Biden Abrams because we were hoping that Stacey would be the VP, but it all worked out. Harris is a great choice for Joe and for the moment, and Stacey now can be freed up to hopefully run for governor. So it started off as Biden Abrams, and we were sending heartfelt letters to Biden's team, lobbying for Stacey and just how wonderful we thought she was. And then after the Biden-Harris ticket became official, the group changed to Team Stacey Protect the Vote. And we really focused on fair fight and various efforts that Stacey was doing on the ground here to protect the vote. Then when the runoff happened, it turned into Team Stacey for Warnock Ossoff. And so we went from 198 members in March to 22,600 members in November 2020. And that leap from about 2,000 members to 22,000 members happened just within 1 week. And it was to the point where I had to kind of like shut down the page for or the group for a week and a half because my notifications were going crazy. But it was amazing to see how many people around the country wanted to help Georgia flip the Senate. So I just wanted to say a special thank you to all of the people who have been admins for us. David Thompson and Ann McKee, Vanessa, Frankie, Diane, Nicole, let's see, who else? Shalini, Katie, Drew, Michael, and Pete. Thank you so much for all your help. I would not have been able to do any of this without all of you. And they're the ones who are constantly approving memberships and declining them and deciding which posts that go up. And it really is a group effort. So thank you so much. And I'm happy to report that 9 out of the 10 cities in Georgia that make up all the members of our group, 9 of them are in Georgia, and then we have people from New York City. So I don't know, it's kind of random. New Yorkers always figure out a way to be involved in things. So thank you. But there's a lot of New Yorkers who also have relocated to Georgia. So thank you so much to all the admins, and we appreciate all of your work. So now I would like to say a special thank you to our partners in Good Trouble, Envoys for Humanity and Women of Color Coalition. And I would like to pass the mic to Rachel. And Rachel's just going to talk a little bit about what her group, Women of Color Coalition, was able to help Georgia accomplish during the runoffs.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Robin, for that. And definitely, ladies and gentlemen, we've been getting into a lot of good trouble over the last 2 months, to be frankly honest with you. As you see, we've been able to do a lot of phone banks. We did some text messaging. Not only did we do that, we did a lot of great content material online. And as you can see, we had some great, fabulous guests that came on to educate everyone about Georgia and us moving forward. forward, not only as a state, but as a nation. Georgia definitely has shown not only our country, but the world, what you can do when you stick together, work together, and work as a coalition to get things done. The Women of Color Coalition is thrilled to have had, Envoys for Humanity as a wonderful partner, along with Robin and her team, and has been just thrilling to have worked with them over the holiday season, to be frankly honest with you. There was no time taking off, as they say, for us over the holidays. We kept plugging through, and we were able to offer, again, some wonderful, wonderful content. I definitely want to acknowledge some fabulous folks on the team of Women of Color Coalition. We have our co-chair, Ann Shaw, who has been, as they say, my ride or die through this whole process, along with Lynn Halliburton and Monica Hutchinson. I also want to acknowledge Wanda, Betsy, Tiffany, Fatima, Aisha, Patricia, Litzy, Val, Maya, Naomi, and of course the fabulous Robin, who's been with us with the Women of Color throughout to get these things done. I also want to acknowledge Kari and Scott with Envoys for their dedication and working with us throughout this whole process as well. Ladies and gentlemen, always remember, we're at this point where we usher in the power of our ancestors to achieve our fullest potential. Tonight, we celebrate a movement, but tomorrow we continue to work. So as we celebrate tonight, just remember in the morning, we have more good trouble to get into. Thank you again, Robin, for being such a wonderful partner. And back to you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. There's been long nights and lots of back and forth, because the fact that we did all of this and we did it over, and when I say we, I'm talking about the collective, that we did this over all the holidays, from the Jewish holidays to Christmas and everything in between. I mean, really the only day I feel like everyone really kind of had off was maybe Christmas Day. But even still, we were still planning and doing things. And I know that, a lot of us were really burnt out just from the general election. But then, Rachel contacted me and said, we want to do something with Georgia. And we, between Women of Color Coalition and Envoys and our various Facebook groups, we had this bright idea to do this. It was kind of like a homecoming week, I guess that's what it reminded me of, like a spirit week or homecoming week. And we decided we were going to have events from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, through Friday. And by the time Wednesday rolled around, it was, we were all, struggling in, but at the same time, once you have these events and you start connecting with other people, you get rejuvenated a lot of times. So thank you so much. And your whole team and all the executive board of the Women of Color Coalition. It's phenomenal. And I love too that they were very creative and they would have book clubs and, they would bring speakers in and have these round tables. So, it wasn't just like we were always phone banking or doing something like that. It was, you were also learning and taking in knowledge and networking and everything. So thank you so much, Rachel.
Oh, no, thank you. And you were absolutely a dream and a pleasure to work with. And that's always the biggest part of it, who you're working with. So like you said,
yeah.
No, I was just going to say, like you said, nobody had egos. Everybody put everything to the side, and it was all about our country. And that's what we have to continue to remember and move forward with.
And I even feel like after we had this long week of events that was before Christmas, and then I thought we weren't, because I was like, I can't go back and ask them to do, something else, like, let's at least give them, some time. But then you came back and you were like, hey, we need to do 2 more phone banks the weekend of the GOTV, get out the vote. So thank you again so much, because all of that little bit helps.
No problem, my sister. Always here to help whenever you need us.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then I want to pass it over to Kari. Kari and Scott, another, group of just inspiring people, I think, who are both out there in California. And again, Rachel, Kari, Scott, and I, we've never met each other before, but we are constantly, coming together, to do these events. So Kari's going to talk a little bit about Envoys for Humanity and just everything they've been able to accomplish from start to finish.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, it's just been such an amazing experience to work with you two ladies, and the fact, and I guess I forget that we haven't met right in person, and I feel like you know, we just get along, and it kind of share the same brain on so many levels of just get it done. Let's figure out how to make it work. We have an idea. Let's figure out how to do it. And the whole thing with no egos, you know, putting the egos aside, and we're just all working together. It was just an amazing collaboration to be able to do that. And I almost saw Robin in Georgia. I traveled down there for the final week to canvas, and we were trying, but it was too crazy. There was too many doors to knock on. But so yeah, so I appreciate you ladies. I'm so excited to see what we're going to do in the future, because we're definitely not done. I saw somebody in there, Senate, Warnock for Senate in 2022. He only has 2 years on his race, so we're going to be back at it. So there's definitely a little bit of rest, recharge, celebrate, and then let's just get back into it, because what else are we going to do, really, right? So I just wanted to talk real quick about specifically what Envoys for Humanity did in Georgia and the initiative there. And then I'm going to pass it on really quickly to my co-founder, Scott, and he's just going to give a little blurb about what we are, Envoys for Humanity. So our biggest lift that we did, and thank you for everybody that wrote postcards through Envoys for Humanity. We consider you part of the Envoy family. We together wrote 118,242 postcards. It's so big, I can't even say it. So almost 119,000 postcards were written to Georgia just in the runoff. So that was just a couple of months, right? We found out in the middle of November through January. So that was pretty crazy. Yeah, 119,000 postcards written. We had over just under 1,400 unique writers. So 1,400 writers did that Herculean, I like that word, movement of sending out these postcards. We did the first week or so, we did purge voters, and then we moved on to young voters in the ages 18 to 24. And so it was just so exciting to see how people were just ready to take on helping Georgia. I think we had all this energy left over from the election and this newfound kind of electricity, and wanted to keep going. And so it's just incredible to be here now after the fact and seeing that we won both of those seats. And now we have the Senate with the tiebreaker of Kamala Harris, our wonderful new female vice president. So that's exciting. So that was kind of the big main event that we did. We did a lot of this over Zocalo Zooms, where we meet together virtually, and we had live artists, musicians. We put over 30, I think we did 30, Scott can get the right number, 30 of these Zocalo Zooms. So we were doing them every week. Sometimes we were doing more. And then we co-hosted with Women of Color Coalition and a bunch of other grassroots organizations. We did 4 phone banks, which was so exciting. And we also hosted 4, which we're going to do more in the future. We hosted 4 screenings of All In, the Fight for Democracy. So definitely keep a lookout for that too, because it's a must see documentary. And so we're looking forward to doing more of those in the future, so we can be educated on the history of systemic racism in this country, of trying to stop people, and a particular people, from voting, which is just is mind-blowing and enraging at the same time. So I am so proud to be part of this coalition of just powerhouse people. Your passion, everybody here on the Zoom, everybody watching, your passion and dedication of just putting your head down, not listening to the noise, and just getting the work done. And I think that's why I just feel a connection with everybody here, because we want to get the work done. So thank you so much. So I'll pass it on really quickly to Scott, my co-founder, and take it away.
Thank you, Kari. Thank you, Robin. Great seeing you, Rachel, and great being with all of you here today. It was about a year ago that we launched Envoys for Humanity, after initially being founded as a part of the Beto O'Rourke campaign for president the year before. And when he got out of the race, we quickly segued into a broader mission, which has been one of the greatest pleasures of my life. And it's because of getting to meet, folks across the country. And so that's a lot of our mission, is to connect folks across the country. Like Robin said, so many of us haven't met in real life, but it feels like we know each other from working so closely together, putting our egos in the back seat and becoming kind of one in a lot of ways. But you might ask, well, what is the mission of Envoys for Humanity? First off, you don't become an envoy or a member. We like to think of anyone who is involved in the process. While they're involved in the process of doing that work, in that moment, they're an envoy for humanity. So really anybody and everybody on the planet at some point, hopefully can even some that are maybe struggling, to be team players, as we see so much of, they surely at some point they do something that is uplifting to those around them. So we take that broad view of Envoys for Humanity. And it's like John Lewis said, democracy is not, to paraphrase him, democracy is not a state or a state of being, but rather an act. So in other words, it is a process. It's a day-to-day thing. And, voting has to just become like breathing and encouraging others to do so. And then we move, as Rachel said, right on to tomorrow after a brief celebration today, and we're back into that process. So Envoys for Humanity seeks to just bring folks together to find meaningful actions that they can readily take and that we can provide for them to take on the spot, oftentimes virtually, in things like these Zocalo Zooms that we do, where we bring you together and we have artistry in the form of live music, live art, live speakers with uplifting messages, so that we can bring joy to this process. Because as Robin said, we've got to take care of ourselves to sustain this for the long term. And as John Lewis said, it is not a state, it's an act. It's an ever running process. So with that being said, I will look forward to meeting lots of you in the future, to getting you to share in some of these events. Kari mentioned we'll have a screening of All In coming up before too long. We plan on doing those in an ongoing manner. We'll have another Zocalo Zoom with live music and live artists and live speakers in February as well. So even though we did those weekly for 30 weeks in a row leading up to the last week of December, we'll tone back on that particular regularity, but we'll continue to do those in this off year, probably on a monthly basis, as well as other type of postcarding initiatives. We're already speaking with Register to Vote, who is a part of a wonderful organization out of Austin, Texas, that we intend to work with. So in any case, thank you so much, Robin, for putting this together. And we look forward to expanding our partnership and bringing more and more people in to be a part of it.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Kari. Absolutely. And we're going to be sending out, we'll put some links in the chat, but we're also going to send out an email after this is all over. It'll have all the links to the different groups and pages and all that stuff. So don't worry, we'll get that information to you and you can join in. So again, thank you so much. And again, the Zocalo Zooms and doing anything with Kari and Scott, it was a pleasure, because it really rejuvenated. I think by the time that we actually connected, I think I was starting to kind of hit like a wall. I don't know, it was maybe around like August, September or something, because it was just like, it was burnout, at that point. And you all would always make space, for me to come on and talk about what was happening in Georgia. And it was really cool. And they have amazing artists, musicians coming out of Austin and Nashville and all these places around the country, great sound, and everything for Zoom. And it was really special. It was just like a free concert every weekend. So thanks so much. And I definitely will return that favor. to come and support Beto if he decides to run for something in Texas, or we've got to work on flipping Texas. Like I'm completely committed. So thanks a lot. All right, so I'm going to go back. Let's see. Okay. All right. So how do we do all of this? We had such amazing leaders in Georgia. Everybody from Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms of Atlanta, who's now the new vice chair of voter protection and civic engagement for the Democratic National Committee. And we also had, of course, Vice President-elect or President-elect and Vice President-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Insay Ufalt, she's the executive director of the New Georgia Project, which was responsible for registering hundreds of thousands of people here in Georgia over the years. We have, of course, our queen of democracy, Stacey Abrams, and Fair Fight, and all of the coalitions that Stacey supports. And here in Georgia, LaTosha Brown with the Black Voters Matter project. They were all over the state of Georgia, riding around in their bus and bringing a caravan of people. They would hit all of these small towns, rural towns, places that maybe don't normally get attention during a campaign, let alone a runoff campaign. And they would have community events and register voters and really reach the young people. And then we have the Georgia Democratic Party. They're another outstanding group. Their executive board, a lot of young, dynamic voices, and they work really well, you know, with the grassroots and with the people on the ground. And then we have our wonderful candidates at the time, John Ossoff and Warnock. So we had a lot of inspiration here in Georgia to make sure we turned out the vote. And introducing our new senators, Reverend Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff. When I was putting this PowerPoint together, I really wanted to cry because you know, with politics, a lot of times, as we know, you know, it can be just hard to run for an office because it can be so expensive and it's just a lot of work and you need to know a lot of people. But when you have good people, like really just good at, you know, hearts of gold, you know, type of people run for office, and, you know, and then they don't make it, like someone like Jamie Harrison in South Carolina, it just really breaks your heart. So I always tell people, anytime that there's like good people running, you have to put your full force behind those people. You can't just kind of halfway be in there, but you got to really give it your all. So I just always felt like the light, you know, conquered the dark, you know, at the end of the day, during that election, because of, you know, they were just so different from their opponents. So I'm so proud that we have two Democratic senators from the state of Georgia, first African-American senator from Georgia, and then to have a young Jewish senator, immigrant, you know, child of an immigrant mother. I mean, it's outstanding. So there's so much hope out there, and just so proud. So how do we do all of this is the question. Well, voter turnout was outstanding here in Georgia. There was almost 4.5 million people that voted in the Georgia runoff. So these are like numbers up there with the general election numbers. Democrats have won, I think it was like 2 out of 9 runoff races until this one. So now they would have won 3 out of 10 runoff races in Georgia. So the fact that we could get the voter turnout up to 4.5 million is unthinkable. And then there were 100,000 voters in the runoff who voted, who did not vote in the November presidential election. 100,000 people voted in the runoff that did not vote in November. I mean, insane. And then the areas that saw the largest voter surges were Southwest Georgia and a lot of the Black Belt regions. So a lot of rural areas and small towns had the highest voter surge. And then Black voters had a huge early voting surge. It was almost up to 1 million Black people had voted either by absentee ballot or in person before election day. So that's always a good sign. And then there was an increase of 50,000 Black voters who did not vote in November for president, but they voted in the runoff. And that was for a variety of reasons, which we'll touch on. But I mean, it's when you think about what we were able to accomplish, John Ossoff, even though, you know, he advanced to the runoffs, David Perdue was up maybe almost 90,000, 100,000 votes. It was like around 80, 90,000 votes ahead of John Ossoff on election day in November. So we had to go out and find new people to expand the electorate in order for him to have a shot at winning the runoff come January. So, and again, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And where did everything fall as far as the margins? So we, of course, it's not a party without Steve Kornacki from MSNBC. So Steve, I love Steve Kornacki, and you know, he was another person who I just knew we were going to be able to flip Georgia and we were going to be able to win if we had a high voter turnout with Black voters. And this is not to say that, like, you know, different groups are not important, but here in Georgia, in order for us to have any shot at even winning, we have to have at least 30% of Black voters come out to vote. If we don't have those numbers, then we just really are not going to have a shot. And Steve Kornacki did a whole series back in 2019 about how this was going to be the largest voter turnout in history. And he did this whole chronicle about Black voters and the history of Black voters. And he was saying he was echoing the exact same thing. So I would highly recommend that you check it out. I'm going to send out a resource email with a bunch of like helpful information. So I'll see if I can find that as well afterwards. But anyway, there was an increase with Hispanic and the Latinx vote by 8 points in the runoff from November. The majority of Black voters increased by 3 points. Everyone who voted Democratic increased by 2 points. Rural areas went up 2 points, suburban areas 2 points, urban areas 1 point, and then white less college went up 0.9 points. So again, you know, a lot of people thought we had maximized the vote during November, and then we were still able to not only turn out everybody from November, but we were able to increase the electorate going into the runoff. So again, outstanding work for everybody who took part. Next. So what was interesting was, so shout out to all my Scorpios, Sagittarius, Capricorns, because these young people who were born in 2003 or who could register, because there was a short window of time where people could register to vote in the runoffs in between election day, the general election, to December 7th. So there was a short window of time where there were all these voter registration drives to try to get more young people to come out and vote, or anybody else who didn't get a chance to vote or who wasn't registered, you know, during the general election. And it was so great to have John Ossoff and Warnock as candidates, because they both had a strong appeal to youth wherever they went. And we were able to tap into the 23,000 people, young people, who were going to be turning 18 by January 5th. So here in Georgia, as long as you were 18 by January 5th, you could vote in the runoffs, you know, obviously provided if you're registered. So there was 23,000 of those young people who were either 17 or already 18, and then would be 18 by the time it was time to vote. So again, there was massive voter registration drives. And then think about, we're doing this during the holidays and during a pandemic. But people were able to still get it done. So it was, you know, so again, this idea that young people don't vote, or, you know, another thing we constantly heard, you know, people who generally, in my opinion, don't totally know, you know, always what they're talking about as far as what's going on the ground. People who would say like, oh, you see these young people protesting over the summer, or you see these young people doing this and that, but they're not, but are they voting? They voted and they turned out. And in fact, during the general election, the young people in Georgia turned out at a larger, on average, larger than youth in the entire country. So this will bring me to my friend, Mr. Rick Hart. Rick and I, crossed paths at the end of December 2019, and he's going to come and he's going to just talk a little bit about what they were able to accomplish for the Warnock campaign. And Rick, the way I met Rick was at the end of December of 2019. There was a group we were trying to plan these border trips to go from Georgia to South Carolina. And so this was early on when, people didn't think Joe was going to win. People, thought the campaign was broke and all these other things that were being said. And one of the Biden campaign people had asked me if I could lead up a group to go to South Carolina. So I said, sure, so then I got a phone call like late that night, and one of the staffers, the Biden staffers, said, hey, we have this Morehouse student who's willing to ride to South Carolina with you. And do you think you can, work it out and everything? And I said, okay, sure. And so Rick and I went back and forth, and he was willing to take, I think, like 2 MARTA, which is our public transportation, 2 MARTA trains to where we were going to be leaving from. And I just thought, if this college student is willing to get up early, like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and take public transit to get to where we are and then drive for another hour and a half, 2 hours to South Carolina, which I was not doing that at his age, he must be seriously committed. And ever since then, we have just rode this wave together. We were in Iowa together, knocking on doors for Joe when he came in 4th place, and we were in South Carolina together. And we have just been on this journey together. And so Rick is just an outstanding young man. Everybody wants to adopt him and make them their son or brother or whomever. But Rick, are you there? I want you to just, tell them a little bit about what you all were able to accomplish.
Thank you so much, Robin. This is, it's been an incredible journey. It's been well over a year that we've just been going at it every single day in different facets. So I just want to thank you for always taking the lead, always leading us. I remember when there were 5 of us knocking on doors for Joe in Georgia and South Carolina, headed to Iowa to knock on doors. We were the only Georgians doing it for Joe Biden at the time. And just to think of how far we've come since then as a group, as a state, and as a country. Speaks volumes. But I'll just introduce myself. So my name is Rick Hart. I am a junior political science major, sociology minor at Morehouse College, and I served as director of Young Georgians Engagement at Warnock for Senate. So I'm going to just be very brief this evening, provide you with some data. Robin's touched on some of it this evening, but I just want to preface that county-wide certification in Georgia was the deadline for county-wide certification in Georgia was 5 p.m. This afternoon, and then our statewide will take place on January 22nd. So this isn't yet official data, but this is some of the best data points that I have in front of me now. So with 99% of the estimated vote total tabulated in Georgia, nearly 4.5 million Georgians voted in this runoff election, as Robin stated earlier. Final data indicates that voters 18 to 35 made up approximately 22 to 23% of that electorate, which shows you that Georgia voters, Georgia youth voters who had the highest rate of turnout of any state in the country, replicated that and actually expanded it into this runoff. So that 23,000 number of students, young people that turned 18 prior to the runoff went out and voted. We don't have a direct number on what that is yet, but we set a higher rate of youth voter turnout between the November election and the runoff, which is remarkable, something that I did not personally think that we could do. Over 260,000 more people voted in this runoff race than in the 2016 November election when Hillary Clinton ran against Donald Trump on the ballot that year. Nearly 90% of voters, over somewhere near 9 out of 10 voters who participated in the 2020 presidential election in November also voted in the runoff, which is also a remarkable number that just goes to show you that turnout remained just as high as it was in November in Georgia to keep the state blue. Transitioning to some early vote numbers that I have on file here, over 360,000 early voters were ages 18 to 29. Again, just a ridiculous record-shattering number of early voters. 360,000 voters were under the age of 30. That's outstanding. Again, a number that I did not think that I'd see at this point. And then adding to Robin's 100,000 vote number that we saw in terms of new voters, that number was over 123,000 was the final number that we saw, which again is just remarkable. And the vast majority of these voters were non-white and under and 40% of them were under the age of 40. So it goes to show you that young voters, Black and brown, increased their turnout, again, in record numbers going into this runoff race. And one more thing that I want to expound upon before I turn it back to Robin is looking at county-wide data. What we saw Joe Biden and Kamala Harris pull off in Georgia was nothing short of almost impossible in terms of the record turnout that we did see in November. But Reverend Warnock, John Ossoff, and Daniel Blackman were able to build on that turnout. In Fulton County, we saw an increase of 3 percentage points of voters who turned out. In Cobb County, a suburb north of the city of Atlanta, Fulton County, we saw voter turnout expand by 4 points. DeKalb County, which is to the east of the city of Atlanta, we saw turnout go up 3 points. Chatham County, Savannah, where Reverend Warnock is from, we saw go up 3.5 points. Henry County, a suburb southeast of Atlanta, a county there, up 4 points. And that is reflected all around the state. So Joe Biden's margin of victory being a little over 11,700 votes in November was able to be increased by well over a percentage point by John Ossoff and Reverend Warnock. And it was just an honor to have been a part of this movement in this election. So I'll turn it back over to Robin, and thank you so much for letting me speak to you this evening.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Rick. And can you just talk a little bit about, because you were on the Warnock bus, because there were these bus tours. Warnock, I think he was doing it first, and then Ossoff, his bus, came into being. But this was like one of the first times where I was like chained to a desk and my laptop and a phone. Usually I'm out in the field and just, interacting. And I love those last, because Rick and I would always we would be texting like, all right. Of course, we believed we could win. We believed in Georgia. We knew we had the numbers, but we would be like, "Hey, how you feeling? How you feeling?" Every day. And then there's like a synergy that starts to happen on the ground, like the last couple of days, where you can kind of start to feel like, I think we have it, but of course you gotta, keep working. But I would turn on Roland S. Martin. I'm obsessed with Roland. And he was traveling around with Warnock and his group, and he would live stream a lot of these car rallies and things. So I would listen and watch them while I was doing my work. But can you just talk a little bit about what it was like traveling around Georgia?
I have never been that tired in my life. I'll say that. We were doing about 5 to 6 car rallies a day. We were in all various corners of the state. There was one day where we started in Atlanta, made our way across to the Georgia-Alabama line in Columbus, and finished the day in Savannah on the Atlantic Ocean on the other complete end of the state, doing various events throughout Georgia. So in the final days, I'll say this, on our final 6-day bus tour, in which we, again, traversed the state, touched every single metro area, it felt like every county in Georgia, actually. It felt, the word that was used was biblical. My boss worked on President Obama's campaign in 2008, like yourself, Robin, and she was saying the final days of President Obama's campaign felt biblical. And I remember attending car rallies. There was a tropical storm that came through the southeastern part of the state, and we had well over 150 cars, people getting out of their cars just to hear the Reverend speak in the middle of a tropical storm. In Savannah, the Reverend spoke at the Bull Street Library in downtown Savannah, his hometown, and I remember seeing a kid sitting in the window ledge, legs dangling across the street. Couldn't hear a thing the Rev was saying. He just wanted to see the Rev speak. And people being in trees to see the Rev, like that kind of thing, really indicated to me that we could pull this off. Just the sheer sense of enthusiasm from all different corners and sects of the state really, just again, made it evident to me that we could do it, and we did.
Oh my gosh, I could talk to you forever. Sometimes. And then Rick is doing this, you guys, while he's in college. I always forget he's still in college.
Yeah, I go back on February 1st. So I have 15 credit, 2 more semesters, and that's it. And then hopefully we can continue to do this going into 22 and beyond. So again, it's been an incredible journey. And Robin, having you as a partner in it has been so rewarding and worthwhile. And I've learned so much from you over the course of this last year, and I can't wait to keep it going.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Rick. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Wonderful.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay, and then Rick did also, he didn't mention, he did work on the Biden team as well. And again, while he was in college during a pandemic, and he did a lot of HBCU events and a lot of events around the Divine Nine, the Black sororities and fraternities, and really did wonderful events reaching out to Black men, which is one of the photos in the bottom left-hand corner. So again, great job, Rick. Huge fan, and I know everyone else is as well. Okay. Another huge piece of of why we were able to win the Senate here in Georgia was a very bold move by John Ossoff and his team. So I think it was maybe around the beginning of December, I got a call, and there was this position to be a regional mobilizing manager for the Ossoffs. They have a community mobilizing program, which I'll talk about. And so I was always open to possibly working on a campaign if it was a right fit. And John was like, one of his races was one of the first races that I became involved with when I moved to Georgia, when he ran for Congress in 2017. It was the first election since once Trump got in. That was like the first special election, which was in that January. And a canvasser came to my door. And I already knew Congressman Lewis had endorsed John. So I just, learned more about him. And I loved that he was a documentary filmmaker. And I just thought he was really interesting, a young, fresh, vibrant voice. And so I asked them if they had a yard sign. They put a yard sign in my yard. And I live in a swing district, Newt Gingrich's old district, which is now represented by Congresswoman Lucy McBath. And so they put a sign in my yard, and it really sparked a yard sign, an epic yard sign war here in Atlanta, in my neighborhood. And what we found was that there was way more Democrats in our area than we ever thought. So other people started putting their Ossoff signs out, and then you had the other side putting their signs out, and it was like a whole thing. And anyway, it was just really funny that was my introduction to John. So when I received a call and I was asked to interview for this position, and I did, and I got the position, and it was for the community mobilizing program. So the flyer on the left was a flyer that they put out there. So the community mobilizing program was looking for people to talk to their family and friends about voting. And so they were looking specifically for people who had never worked on a campaign before in a paid, position, people who weren't really that into politics. And they ended up hiring about 2,500 community mobilizers in the final weeks of the runoff in order for them to mobilize their family and friends to get out to vote. And so the article on the right talks a little bit more about the program. So there's about 2,500 community mobilizers across the state of Georgia. We had one in every county, and they used an app called Reach. And all they would do is sync up their phone with the app and import their contacts into the app, those who lived in Georgia. And then they could also enter people manually. And they use this app in order to turn out their networks to vote. So they would just make sure that these people, it's called relational organizing, when you're trying to get your networks through your relationships out to vote. So they use this app, and they would help first identify if there were John and Warnock supporters, or after that, then they would help their family and friends come up with a voting plan. And then they would track those people, and the campaign would help them, and the regional mobilizing managers will help them track track their networks to make sure their networks turned out to vote. And I can't get into specifics as far as the numbers, but it definitely had a huge impact on John being able to win, because it definitely turned out voters who maybe weren't going to vote in the runoff, or who really didn't know about it, or who were just on the fence about, coming out, period. And it was extraordinary. And it was a quick startup. This was a program they started maybe 20, 30 days before Election Day. And they hired all of us, and we did all these interviews. I think there was 11,000 applicants. And out of those 11,000 applicants, it was about 2,500 that were chosen. And we had them trained, and then had the app downloaded. And then they worked with their regional mobilizing manager to make sure they got their networks out. So I had a group of about, I think it was 82 community mobilizers that I was assigned to. And it was a pleasure, working with them, because a lot of them were so new to politics, but yet they had these ripe networks of people to tap into. And so I have one of the community mobilizers here, Felicia Abrams, Stacey Abrams' little sister, and I'm just kidding, she's not, no, just same last name. But Felicia, she was a community mobilizer for the Ossoff campaign. And I just wanted her to say just a few words about her experience. And what was funny was that Felicia and I knew each other in the digital space, and neither of us even knew that we were both going to be working with the Ossoff team. And then she announced that she was a community mobilizer, and I haven't even had a chance to even talk to her about it, but she's on here, I believe, today. So Felicia, do you want to unmute yourself?
Hello, everybody. Stacey's Abrams' little sister. No, don't go with that. But anyway, I want to give a shout out to everybody that just got off work, because I just got off work not too long ago. But my experience, I just want to share with you guys, my experience as a digital community mobilizer was awesome. That was just up my alley. At first, when I did it, it was like, I don't have time. I can't do it because I work at a middle school with severe autism students. And so I didn't think I'd have time, but they made it so easy for me. They say, well, this is something you can do when you get off work. This is something you could do on the weekend. And so I was like, okay, I'll try it out. So when I first tried it out, I called a couple of my family members. I text them, just all different types of people. They work with me. It was nothing negative because I was so used to volunteering, especially back in 2016 when I was on the Stacey Abrams campaign. I volunteered. I remember walking up the hills, walking down the hills. I get tired, but I'll say, I have to do this. I had volunteers working with me by my side. There were times when I got in the car and did it by myself. But now you just have to be a little more careful now. You always take somebody with you. But being a digital community mobilizer, I mean, that is just broad. You have, your events that you go to. That was just up to par. Then you have things like the artists. They have like events where you painters and the artists was here. They had in Columbus, I'm located in Columbus, and Columbus has this mobilizing music mobilizer that was driving through the neighborhoods and playing music and getting the people excited. You have to, come just get them excited. And that's what I've always been about. That's as far as the community, you just have to, want things to change in your community. And then, it broadens out. Georgia, the United States. And working as a digital community mobilizer, I can get on social media. I was sharing things. People were like responding to me. They were messaging me in the messenger, texting, some calling, but everybody doesn't call that much. But then you have the older age group, they still talk on the phone, because sometimes, but you'll catch them trying to text and everything. But I really, truly enjoyed doing this. And this was like, this is going to be something big, because even my regional manager, she was located in Texas. So she would give like inspirational, she motivate me on days I thought I wasn't doing anything. They were all supportive. So if you ever want to think about doing it, and trust me, this was my first paying job. Everything I did before this, I volunteered. I volunteered for my community. I volunteered for everything, and I'll still volunteer. But I just want you guys to know that this was like the best thing that was ever done. And I think from here on out, a lot of people that are going to be running, they're going to take this and run with it. So I just want you all to have a good night, and shout out to Robin and Reed and everybody, Kristen, everybody out there, and David. And I just want y'all to know I really enjoy working with everybody, because we're all together. We're a big, happy family.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Everybody's thanking you in the chat, and they're saying that you are Stacey Abrams' little spiritual sis, and they love you. Thank you so much. and that they find you very inspiring and motivating. So thanks again for taking that time, and do something special for yourself this weekend. Absolutely.
I will. Thank
All
you.
right. And then I wanted to, let's see, I'm going back to shared screen. Okay. And then I wanted to, Samira wasn't able to be here tonight, but Samira was, she was a community mobilizer as well. And she was on my team. And Samira, she's in nursing school. She's never worked on a campaign before, you know, was very new to all of this. And she was my top community mobilizer the entire time. She built a network. Now, this is just people that she knows and other people know, et cetera. She built a network of 450 people just off of who she knows, and, you know, expanding from there. And some days I just couldn't even believe when I actually would like look into the data tracker and I would see, you know, like, is this correct? And, but she had to match the first and last names and everything to the voter file. And the way she did it was, she grew up in Augusta, Georgia, and, she comes from a very tight-knit Muslim community, and a lot of her friends that she went to school with moved to Atlanta, and then there was like the other half or so were still in Augusta. And her father, I think, was he was some kind of leader within like a Muslim society or, you know, community group that they had. And so she started reaching out to her father's friends and their friends and people in their house. And she had 450 people in her network. And she just, I mean, she said, yeah, she's like, I was surprised at how many people I ended up knowing, you know, in the end. And I guess her father is very social, so that's where she gets it from. And so she was my top CM, and I loved, you know, working with her as well. So I just definitely wanted to give the two of them a shout out. And then also I wanted to give a shout out to the other, the regional mobilizing managers. I don't know if any of them are on here now, but it was a group of us, and we each had our teams. And what was so outstanding about them was a lot of them weren't based in Georgia. They were in other parts of the country. And then there were some that were based here. But what was great was it was a lot of, there was definitely a good handful of people who had worked on the Kentucky race for Amy McGrath, and they were just so determined to take out Mitch McConnell this time around, because they weren't able to do it during the general. And so it was really cool working with them, and they kind of came with a very fresh, you know, energy and everything, and they were phenomenal people to work with. And let's see, so that brings us over to Right on Time. Let me let her in. I won't put you right on the spot right away, let's see, because I know you're just coming in, but I have to give a special shout out to all of the people who are canvassers, who either knocked on doors here in Georgia, or who traveled from out of the state to come canvass and to knock on doors. It's such a rewarding experience to be able to show up on someone's doorstep and have a conversation with them about voting, and to hear about you know, the issues that they care about. And then it's even more special when people are willing to leave the comfort of their own home to come to another state that they have may not be familiar with, and start helping the organizers to help turn out the vote. And so I wanted to, if Rosa and, well, I'll go with first with, is Isabel, are you on here? Isabel?
I am.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yes, absolutely. We love canvassing. I love canvassing.
Yes,
you know,
please share about Cordero Latinx.
Well, you know, I'm here in a personal capacity because we were nonpartisan to begin with. And to us, it was about empowering our community. Latinx had been factually the most marginalized, the most disenfranchised community in our state. The doors where we knocked were the doors we asked people not to open because of the ICE raids. Our community had been so punished, it continues to be to some extent. What was rewarding was beginning in the presidential election to see our community responding and feeling empowered. And I get emotional immediately. You know how that was. You know, we went all the way because, you know, not only my organization made over 600,000 calls altogether. We had people from, and we had a big base of volunteers. I had 82-year-old guy making calls from October till January, 82 years old. And he was from Illinois. I'm never going to forget John, because él habla español así. He was an octogenarian American making calls to Latinx in Georgia. I mean, just to say something of what that meant. So we had the phone banking groups of volunteers. We also had a lot of union folks that came from all over the United States. I'm very moved by progressive states that come and help our South, you know, and I hope it shows that it paid. You know, you all put the pressure of the entire planet on us, and we took it in stride. You know, we did not settle for just dropping lid at the doors. We knew our community needed a personal approach. We knew our phone banking could not be just like, hey, go vote. We needed to be troubleshooters. We needed to find their locations. We needed to help them. Half the folks we spoke with didn't even know they were registered. And just the discovery that they were registered and the empowerment of finding the place and making them accomplish it. So we didn't even wait. We didn't even rest after the presidential. We just jumped again and explained to people, you know what? Yeah, you were 5 hours in line and I need you to go there again. You know, trying to even find the word in Espanol to explain what a runoff meant, you know, going through all them, even explaining our phone bankers so that we couldn't explain to people why we needed to go through this again. And why was everybody calling us and everybody sending millions of postcards, you know? So it's been a really amazing experience. I'm so grateful to be here, Robin. I wanted so much to talk to you. You know, we've been so close. It's amazing what happens in social media, how we connect to a sisterhood and a brotherhood. And it's just so incredible. You know, I felt you close to me for forever, you know, and so, and, you know, we started here in the panic of Trump's appearance in our lives. And look, we've really built up a very strong coalition that was able to take the challenge of flipping the whole nation. It's just, I mean, I haven't even decanted, you know, I'm still there. And we did need to knock on those doors. We continue, our base, 72% of Latinx is younger than 35 years old. We have a huge future. You know, we've also created the real partnerships. All the people of color, you know, coming across and realizing that we have so much to do together. And even now, looking in retrospect, I mean, 70% of our community, Latinx, do vote on behalf of their interests. There's still a 30% that vote against their interests. So we still have work to do. We still have doors to knock. We still have folks to register. I'm excited as an activist. I'm still sitting at the edge of my seat. I'm still like, what do we need to do next? Okay, local races, you know, that kind of a thing. So I'm very happy to be here, sharing whatever it is that I've learned. We can always anchor Georgians in the energy of winning. We have this forever. What we've accomplished is a mindset shift. And I'm so grateful for everybody's chipping in. And it felt, you know, sometimes I was like in a cave for days and days, just organizing phone bankers. I wouldn't see the day, like, you know, I was becoming a vampire. But I felt the groups out there. I felt the people in the rallies. We felt Rick Hart's in all those rallies all over the state. We could feel everybody moving. It's just incredible. We will always be those warriors that won this, and we're able to achieve it. So moving forward, and so happy to be here. And thank you so much, Robin, for everything you've all done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, that work paid off because the margin, it went up 8 points. So
8 points. Yeah. I mean,
incredible.
Latinx used to vote on the 2%. We are exceeding the 4%. We are the highest minority in growth. We've proven that it's worth to invest on us as a community. And the more we embrace the Latinx, the more they're going to trust. The more we recognize our contributions, the more we're going to feel empowered to say we are part of this process. So it's just been amazing. And I'm super proud of all of us.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're able to hop on and join us. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Robin.
This is our first time even seeing and talking to each
I
other.
know, me too. I'm so enamored of everything you do. Thank you.
Same here. And then Litzy, are you out there? I know you just hopped on. Litzy? Hold on, let me find her. Litzy. You there? Okay, at some point, whenever you're ready, Litzy, just unmute
Hi.
yourself. Okay, great,
Hi.
great. Yes, I wanted to introduce Litzy. She's part of the Women of Color Coalition, and she was out there knocking doors as well in the AAPI community here in Georgia. Definitely increased their margin and vote, and I wanted her to just share a little bit of her experience.
Thank you so much, Robin. And thank you for taking all those messages, crazy
No
messages
problem.
while we were in Georgia.
They weren't crazy.
So I really started because as a human rights activist and, a policy graduate, it was really disturbing for me what was happening. And, even in my own country, India, democracy is kind of challenging. And then Trump was supporting it. Everything was really bothering me a lot. So I went to Pennsylvania and, we got the results we wanted, and it was very exciting. And Georgia was just, it had to, we had to do whatever we can to flip the Senate. It was just, it was just a thing to do. So that's why I went to Georgia. And I have many friends in Georgia who are Democrats, but they are closeted Democrats. They will, Asians, but they will never speak about their political affiliations or political interest to anybody because of safety reasons, because they don't want to be tagged as a Democrat in a very strong red counties. And it's not just one person, many people. So that also kind of really bothered me that, in the oldest democracies such as the US, it cannot be, we cannot have an environment where people fear to even share their political interests. So when I went to Georgia, as you know, Asia is a very diverse community, from different cultures. So every country, Asians from, depending on their origin, their affiliations and interests differ. So knocking on doors in Georgia on different Asian community was really an eye opener to the range of responses, people have. But I'm very proud that I was able to kind of convince many, at least a handful, good number of people to go vote and sometimes change their stereotypes or belief sets merely because I respectfully listened to them and did not confront them. So just like Rose shared, sometimes immigrants feel that they don't have to be part of the political process. That is something that's going on, and they don't have to be part of them. Or sometimes they feel these strong beliefs based on religion or the political baggage they have from their country. So but just to find a common ground with them and trying to help them understand what their priorities are over trying to find 100% match with the political organization. So wonderful conversation with a range of people was really really interesting. And initially when I knocked on many Indian doors, they wouldn't want to share. And I thought, oh my God, they're all Republicans, or, they're not going to support. But with time, I realized it's not because they did not want to share. It was more about their safety. There are a lot of closeted Democrats in Georgia, especially among Indians, who wouldn't share their affiliation to anybody. Also, the younger generation, when you meet a Chinese or Vietnamese or other Asians who have seen the worst of communism, the older generation will not vote, while the younger generation. I remember meeting like a young boy in the car, and I was supposed to meet his parents, but they wouldn't open the door, and he was like, "Don't worry, they'll never vote for Democrats, so don't try." But they didn't they didn't go vote, so that's a good thing for you. And me and my sister voted for Democrats, so be happy. So I'm like, that's it. encourage them. So, and then sometimes, many a times, like gender roles play a big role in Asian community. Like usually the man would speak for the whole family. But I know from my own family, how the dynamics work. Man may think the woman in the family is kind of going along with the husband's decision, but sometimes with some persuasion, some conversation, sometimes they don't think about it at all, because like, oh, he will decide and I'll just do what he says. But sometimes I was able to have some conversation with some housewives, um and it really can, I felt very good that, oh my goodness, I was able to get, one lady couldn't go for voting with their family, so she still had to go vote. But it looked like they were leaning more towards the Republican. So I kind of shared some policy narratives and kind of, and I could see, how she was kind of changing, although she didn't share it with me, but I could see that, okay, she has a power to vote, in secrecy. So, that's a decision making power there where she will assert her individuality. So those were all like beautiful, but I also feel sad that many wealthy Indians and Asians do vote Republican based on, I don't know, tax cuts, for some small benefits, that they think. So that was a little sad, but hopefully it'll change too. But otherwise, it was a wonderful experience. And sometimes the the housing board would kind of shoo us off. One lady was like driving behind us, making sure we are out of their community. And I would just message Robin with despite a busy schedule with all my doubts. And that lady made sure we tried to sneak into another area, but she made sure we are kind of shooed out of it. It was all interesting experiences, but I'm so happy that finally we got the results we wanted. And with the demographics, I'm sure it'll be more positive. We are from Chicago, Illinois. I hope it doesn't turn red. I think that's where our next work should be, I feel.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
thank you so much for giving this opportunity, Robin.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, thank you for coming here. That was just amazing because we were talking, when you were knocking on doors, and the hardest turf is to go to areas that are, traditionally red, or there's a lot of undecideds, and you never really, I was telling you, like, you don't know how you're going to impact someone, because people think that people are voting a lot of times because of candidates or for policy, and that might be in the back of their mind. But there are some people, they will simply go and vote, or they'll think about the last interaction they had with someone representing that campaign. So you just never know, how much of an impact you made. But I believe you did, because the numbers are reflecting that. So yeah, so thank you so much. And then Rosa, and definitely look at the chat too, Litzy. People are sending you well wishes in the chat. So thank you so much.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Rosa, are you there, Rosa?
Yes, I am here.
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you, Robin. Finally. Hi, everybody. So my name is Rosa Kleinberg. I am a nurse, never been in politics, but this is one of my first times that I was inspired by the Georgia runoffs to do this. I say, hey, why not? Let's do it. And also inspired by some another pages that one of them where Robin created, because I was like, oh my God, looks amazing. This group is, guided towards action. So I wanted to create some kind of group that it was guided towards action, but it will take care of the Latinx community. So that's for that reason I created the page Latinos, Latinx, Vote Georgia. So this group I created by myself. There was one member, that was me. Then I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? So then it started, growing, and with help of many other members, of many other people in many organizations, in many Georgians, and many people from other states. And before I forget, I want to include, some of these amazing members that we had been texting every day for hours. about how to reach Latinos. And some of those people are Alison Wagner, Vicky, Nancy, also Miguel and Luis, who were two American citizens who went from Costa Rica to canvas in Georgia. Yes, it was just amazing. And also Anelika, who helped us translate it. So what our group did was doing phone banking daily. We fought for a phone banking daily. So I will do, daily 50 people were doing this, plus 3 collaborations with other groups. We wanted to not only concentrate on the Latino and Latinx voters, but we want to reach the volunteers. We want to nurture these volunteers and give them that opportunities. Because sometimes, the opportunities are there, but sometimes they don't reach the volunteers. So that was my concern. I wanted to bring it to them, make it easy for them, make it, give them the chance to call when they can't, to text when they can't. So, and I know that by doing that, we could also impact the turnout. So that's what we did. We fought for that, and we did WhatsApp texting. We did it all. We sent postcards. What else? We did videos. We did like multiple videos in Spanish. I never make a video in my life. It took me 2 days with Nancy making a video. And the video was like 2 minutes, but it took me forever. And I was like, after that video, I decided, oh my God, I've been eating so much after this, nightmare election. So I put myself on a diet after that video, but it was revealing. It was a fun experience. I feel that in this Georgia experience, I use every sense I have. I use my voice to call people. I use my hands to text. I use everything I could to just get those voters out. I had so much passion for them. And that's one of the things that inspired me to do this, is as a nurse, seeing so many sick people, brown and Black people dying. It just, I can't watch this anymore. I can't. I had to stand up, use all my senses and do it. I didn't care. I say, honey, you're going to have to take care of my child or our child. And I'm going to go volunteer with Robin and all the friends in Georgia. And, and I'm in Connecticut, and with all the group of friends that I said, we text and we organize and we thought about it. And the group that some of my friends participate with the group Flip. So those guys did a lot of other things, but we collaborate with giving literature in Spanish. We spent hours translating. We wanted to spend our time, our money, whatever we had, to give the voters how to protect their vote, to give them little cards, maybe that they can know that they can have a right. We share that information with campaigns, with all the other grassroots that I knew. So we brought that information widely, and we joined like maybe 40 groups, each of us. It was like a group effort, and I'm so thankful with every person from Georgia, and every activist, every volunteer, everyone, and also the candidates that were so easy, to advocate for. I love them both. I'm like, oh my God, I can see any of them run for president in the near future. I can see them. They were amazing. And I just want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to help you out and be so wonderful. You Georgians are amazing. I have so much admiration. And like I said before, is you guys are not on our minds, you are in our hearts forever. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. And I literally just found out that Rosa does not live in Georgia. I thought you were like a longtime activist and you've been in politics all these years until like a day or two ago. And so it's the beauty of the digital space. But thank you so much for everything you've done. And I'm excited for everything we can do together going into the future.
Oh my God, yes, I can't wait. We already had conversations. So we have with some of our teams. So we're going to go for it. And maybe I'm going to talk to Isabel that she sounds amazing. So I want to talk to her to continue this work. All right, bye guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone, all of you for sharing and knocking on doors and being in the community, because that's what it's all about. It's wonderful. Thank you so much. And then just to build on it, just real quick, there were all kind of community events going on. There were, barbecues, food giveaways, winter coats and scarf giveaways, all kind of community events, because again, we're dealing with the holidays. We were competing with less early voting days during the runoff, less precinct or less polling locations that were open. So there were all kind of events that they had to bring Michael B. Jordan down here, for goodness sakes. I mean, he was already here because his girlfriend lives here, but they're bringing out all the entertainers and all the celebrities, anybody that they could find, especially a lot of young people. And a lot of those people stepped up and they went to communities that normally don't get a lot of attention during elections. And they had concerts and drive-in rallies. Common was here. So again, we thank all of the community groups. And here's a list of the local organizations. Again, I'll send this list out after this event, and you can support them with your donations or your time and energy to volunteer. But again, it was a Herculean effort by everybody here in Georgia, and we would not have been able to do it without all of these grassroots organizations here on the ground already. So then this brings us to Fair Fight, because it's not an election unless Fair Fight is involved in helping us to protect the vote. Because, ballot access, it's, not that easy to vote in Georgia compared to other places. And there was a quote that someone gave, it was on a podcast, and they were saying that, Stacey Abrams was able to beat voter suppression in 2020 and 2021 compared to 2018. So there was a lot of laws that had to be changed, a lot of advocacy that had to happen in order for Fair Fight to be in a position to protect the vote and make sure Georgians had access to the ballot. So thank you to everybody who donated money to Fair Fight. Fair Fight raised $100 million since 2018. And that money has gone to great use. Fair Fight is based in Georgia, but they're also, they've touched 18 battleground states across the country since 2019. And so they've helped different state parties. They've donated money to state parties, and they've also trained people at the state party level to create voter protection teams. So the Georgia Democratic Party was one of the first and only state parties in the country I think it was in 2018, who had a around the clock, all year long voter protection team in place, which I was shocked to hear that it was only one state. And but there might be more now, but they Fair Fight worked with state parties, and they trained people, and they also donated a lot of money to a lot of those local organizations that was in the previous slide. And thank you for everyone who donated to gasenate.com. It started off that gasenate.com, they were going to split the donation 3 ways between Fair Fight and then the Warnock and Ossoff campaigns. And then I guess at some point they just decided to donate all of the money to both campaigns. So they said it was $12 million that they were able to give to each campaign at the end of the day, and they were able to support those local organizations. So I just really want people to understand, yes, we have to get money out of politics and a lot of the corporate donations and things like that. But campaigns, it takes resources, it takes money. So just know that your donations did go to the right place with Fair Fight and with the campaigns. And I just want to say again, thank you to all the artists and the creatives and innovators out there who created different graphics in the digital space. I think as Felicia had mentioned, as part of the community mobilizer program for the Ossoff campaign, the Ossoff campaign commissioned artists to create murals across Georgia, mostly in the Atlanta metro area. So you had all kind of artists, doing murals on voting, or it might be a quote from John Lewis, or just something about the candidates. And, people would take photos. There's even like down at the bottom, it says wax on, wax off, Ossoff from the Karate Kid. And that was on the side of a wall of a car wash. So they were just getting really creative out there, trying to, use art for social change. So I just love anytime there's artists who are engaged in a candidate or engaged in a campaign. I feel like that's always a phenomenal sign that that you have a good energy going on. So a lot of this stuff is posted in our Facebook groups. Thank you to everyone who's sharing, all of this. It keeps the energy up and keeps people inspired. And then we have to give a special a shout out to all people who put yard signs in their yards and who are committed to sign waving. And I just wanted to highlight a few people because, it seems like something that's very inconsequential, but those yard signs can have a real impact, as well as like bumper stickers and all of those things, because it just also lets people know, it brings awareness and visibility about the campaign and the candidates, but it also kind of lets people know they're not alone, or, you also have people who share similar interests and supporters. So I have Ray Dafrico, I believe he's on here. Ray, are you there? I think you have to unmute. Let's see. Is Ray still? He might have hopped off. Okay, so I'm going to go to Caleb. Caleb, are you there?
Hey, I'm here. Yeah.
Hey, Caleb. So I wanted to, it's so funny. Caleb and I met in 2019 at a fundraiser.
At John Ossoff's lunch.
Yeah. And we literally, well, I didn't even realize that you were the same person until like a couple of days ago. But Caleb,
I know. Well, I had a lot longer hair then. I cut it off.
Yeah.
No, oh my God.
It's so crazy,
It's so crazy.
but it's really great to have you on here, and you, and then Bert Hernandez, you all created this whole sign waving, all these events across Georgia, and you all were committed and you were going out there, and I would just love for you to just share what that was like and why you did this and why it was so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to tell y'all, I am a Georgia native. And one of the phrases that throughout this whole process, I had to remember that I wanted to see what was possible in Georgia, because I grew up here. I lived in Florida a couple years, but I lived in Dublin, Valdosta, and then I moved here about 3 years ago. And John Ossoff's race in 2017 really inspired me. It kind of ignited this flame, this we could do this. We could really do this. And so me and Bert, he's actually the one that started the Help, John Ossoff, we changed the name or whatever group. We had been sign waving a little bit before the general. And we had picked places in Marietta and Midtown. And finally, after we won, we were like, oh my God, we actually fucking won. It's so cool. That we're we should do this. We should pick heavy traffic hours across the metro area. And we did. And so we would do 3 to 5, started doing some in Buckhead. I picked one in Roswell. I'm trying to think. We went down to Henry County for one. And when I tell you, it was beautiful to see just the makeup of the people that show up. When I tell you we hit what Georgia's gonna be. Gwinnett County, we hit Lawrenceville a couple times. And the last week or two, I was doing one every other day. But to me, especially in a runoff, I realized that those are so crucial, because a lot of people have already voted. I'm tired, I'm done with politics, I don't want to do it again. But it's so crucial because at the end of the day, if people just see you, they're going to remember the random person holding a sign on the corner then half the time than they are going to I mean, as important as the postcards were, that is memorable, and it will, like, especially when it's close. It was really cool how to be effective. But I also started this thing called Dimax Media. That's my little company. That before the general, I had like a goal of trying to help flip the state house, and so I had created these videos every so often. But then we just got this super cool opportunity because John brought Purdue under the limit. And I was like, well, I'm just going to make a couple videos and see if it works and put them on Facebook, because we actually halfway through the campaign season, Robin, we found out that we actually could advertise in Georgia. And I think it really made all the difference. And just two things, and I'll shut up. My sister turned 18 in May. She did not vote in the general. So it was very cool to kind of see that culmination. Like, she voted in the runoffs. So she's one of those 23,000. But also, I will say John's race in 2017, there was something Stacey said where he kind of ran when it was not comfortable, when it was a very dark chapter. And to see him win as the last runoff, the last election before Trump's out of office, it just shows you how far we've come. And it almost makes me want to cry because it's just beautiful. How we did it, y'all. We did it. It's so cool. All right, I'm gonna shut up.
Oh, that's so fantastic. And I mean, and you were out there like in the cold days and weeks of Georgia's late fall, winter. So I commend you on being out there. And I love seeing, sign waivers, because even if it's just like a few people, you're right. Like, you do remember that, and you honk, and then you and even after you see them, like, for me at least, I'll like look, the next time I'm going to see if they're going to be there. So
yeah, I mean, it's like, to me, it's super effective. And I'm even thinking, like, for these local races that we have, like, going forward. I mean, and I have a feeling Miss Stacey gonna be making some announcement pretty soon. We're gonna see, but
we'll be ready.
Whatever she does, I'm ready.
We will be ready.
Robin, you have been so great. I mean, it's been such a pleasure to be a part of this team, because we did it. And there's so much more work to do, I know, but like, it feels so good, especially as a native Georgian, like, to the 10-year cultivation is finally coming to fruition. It's awesome. It's just awesome.
Yeah, it all paid off. And I noticed too, like, when people would post the sign events, then like they would just start either getting bigger, or it'd be like a small group in like another pocket. And, so all of that is like a synergy, that starts mixing everything up. So definitely check the chat, Caleb, because everybody's shouting you out over there. And then Reed, are you there, Reed?
Hi.
Hey, Reed.
I'm here.
Oh my gosh. So we're kind of wrapping up towards our next steps. So Reed has got to be, I thought I was a Stacey Abrams fan. No, Reed has to be Stacey's #1 fan. I think you're
people over that title. So
tell them a little bit about your group.
I guess just to start a little bit about my organizing, I got involved with Confederate monument removal in 2017, and that was sort of my first initiation into like political organizing at all. And that was in 2017. And this was something that I had seen in my community. I knew that there was a Confederate flag in downtown. I knew that I had seen Confederate flags going down Stone Mountain, and I knew that Stone Mountain existed, but I didn't hear anyone talking about it. I didn't hear anyone saying that it was wrong. And then after organizing this, someone sent me a link of a local legislator named Stacey Abrams, who had just become the very first Black woman ever to qualify, not to run, but to qualify to run for governor in any state. And I remember her statement saying, took a very strong stance about Confederate monuments and about Stone Mountain, which I had never heard anyone talk about. I knew this woman was someone who was willing to stand up for issues and, the backlash, because it was what was right and what needed to be said. And that really inspired me. And so I started a Facebook page because I knew that I didn't see anyone else talking about this, but I knew that we were sitting on like the precipice of history, really, like just waiting for her primary to come along. And from then, like the rest of it has become history, and we all know it. But I started a page called Team Stacey Abrams, and started using the hashtag Team Abrams that entire year, and just pushing to make sure that people knew about her. And you know, it absolutely blew up, and we knew that we wanted to keep the energy going afterwards, because she was still fighting for, you know, every last vote. And we were seeing the margin shrink as they started counting more and more votes, and judges started saying, no, you can't eliminate these ballots, these people's votes count, you have to count every ballot. And we knew that we wanted to keep that energy and kept pushing. Two things we took away from 2018 was we wanted to make sure that the party took Georgia seriously as a battleground state, because that was something we had fought for, something that nobody believed we could do. Nobody believed we could even get as close as we did in 2018, and we did it. We came so close. The entire nation was waiting on the results of our election for days and days and days, because it was so close. And so getting them to take Georgia as a battleground state, and then also making sure that Abrams stayed a potential figure, because we saw, you know, people like Beto and people like Warren going and representing their state, and we wanted a figure like that. So making sure that she stayed at front and center on the national stage was our next push. And so we started Stacey Abrams Fair Fight Club, and that's where I've met so many absolutely incredible people. That's I cried watching Isabel and Robin and Caleb and Felicia talk, because y'all have all been, you know, there with me, you know, through thick and thin from the beginning. And it's been so powerful just to hear y'all's stories and know that like each of us has our own part to play, but this network is so much bigger. But at the same time, we are big enough in this network to make a difference and to impact it. We're not too small. And I love all of you. And it's been amazing getting to like listen to all of your stories all again, especially during this year in a pandemic when we don't get as much face-to-face interactions. So I love you. And Robin, thank you so much for putting this on.
Oh yes, absolutely. I love you too, Reed. Thank you so much. And Reed, yeah, he connected me with Felicia and Caleb, and you know, and that's how I was able to meet all these other people. So definitely check out the chat, Reed, because people are thanking you and shouting you out over there. And get some rest for a couple of months, because hopefully we'll be shifting gears fairly soon for Ms. Abrams. So we'll see what happens. So again, thank you so much. And then Ray wasn't on here, but Ray is in the photo with Congressman Lewis. And I got to shout out Ray, because he was like one of the first people I talked to about Team Georgia, you know, rallying behind Joe. And we were always doing it with the intention that we, like Reed was saying, that we wanted Georgia to be taken seriously as a battleground state. And Ray, he did a lot of work with the Ossoff campaign to deliver signs all over the state. So, you know, he'd be the person that would get a batch of like 1,000 signs, and then he'd be driving all over the state of Georgia, dropping off batches of signs to the Democratic parties and to various organizations. So he was constantly on the road. So hopefully he's somewhere taking a nice nap. So thank you, Ray. And then I have to give a shout out to the internet and the comedians and people with great senses of humor. I think this is my favorite, of Mitch McConnell in his pajamas at 3:42 a.m. in the morning with Georgia on his mind, knowing that he lost one Senate seat and was on his way to losing another. And Greg Blumenstein, one of the like premier political reporters here in Georgia, he said that he was at an event or something for Republicans, and they really, I think, thought that they were going to win. And, you know, and the reporter, he kept saying, there's all these counties, like at the bottom left-hand corner, DeKalb County, which is like the strong blue Democratic, you know, stronghold here in Georgia. He's like, you know, these counties, Democratic counties, are still out. Like, I don't know why you guys are celebrating, but I think they really thought they were going to win this. And then we have this photo for all the Game of Thrones fans with Stacey Abrams saying, "Tell Donald I wanted him to know it was me." The Game of Thrones fans get it. And then RuPaul in the upper right-hand corner about don't F it up. RuPaul is from Atlanta. But that is how it felt because, so many people were saying all the eyes are on Georgia and it's up to you and you gotta, it's up to Georgia and everything. And it really just felt like we have to make it happen. It was just really no other choice. And then of course, in the middle, I don't know this man's name, but we all, if you're of a certain age, you grew up with painting classes with this man down here. I think he used to be like on PBS or something. So that's been going around, this meme. And then of course the Biden Harris, it's 2021, we'll have adults back in charge just in about 4 or 5 short days. We're almost there. So again, thank you. These are the ones that I could find that were like, in good taste, but there's a lot of hilarious ones, that are out there. So thank you to the internet. And then what is next? So what's next is we're going to continue to get into good trouble. So we're just going to continue to support John Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock, as they, go to DC and start to do the work of the people. And of course, continue to support Stacey's work, especially around voting rights and protecting the vote. So again, I'll be sending out a follow-up email that'll have all the links of everything that we've touched on today, but really just from conversations we've had is that we're going to continue to focus on ending voter suppression in Georgia and across the country. And we're going to support our Georgia congressional delegation because in addition to 2 new senators, we also have Congresswoman Lisa McBath returning to Congress. And then we have Congresswoman Nikema Williams, who she took over the seat of Congressman John Lewis, and she used to be the head of the Georgia Democratic Party. And then we have Congresswoman Carolyn Bordeaux, and we picked up a seat there. And Carolyn Bordeaux, she's going to Congress as well. So we're going to support them and their legislation. And of course, holding the Biden-Harris administration accountable, making sure they deliver on all the things that we are so passionate about and we want to see change. And then we, of course, want to win more state house seats and local races. And then we're all waiting patiently until the Queen of Democracy, Stacey Abrams, hopefully runs for governor. I don't know anything for sure, but the whispers are that it's possibly happening. So she announced in May 2017 before the 2018 year. So maybe sometime in the spring or maybe even early summer, hopefully we'll know if she's going to run. So yeah, and I think that is about it. So thank you to all the volunteers. Thank you to all the Georgia organizers, in-state, out-of-state. We love you. We appreciate you. Please do something nice for yourselves. It's because, these battles are hard fought. And when you do have a win, you have to take time to be victorious and to celebrate it and to just feel very impressed with yourself and just really luxuriate in your win. It's so important, especially with all the craziness that's going on. So, definitely do something nice. And then think about how you did this during a pandemic and during the holidays and earlier in the year during, racial turmoil. Now there's all the craziness happening now. So you should feel really great about yourselves. And I hope you had a great time just hearing from all the people who helped make it happen. And again, it's small, thoughtful, committed people that can change the world. You don't need everybody on the same page all the time. You just really need to connect with those like minds out there. So we're wrapping up the program, but I'm going to stay on here and, anyone that wants to share something or chat, you can either drop in the chat or maybe people can unmute themselves at this point. And for everybody else, if you need to hop off, again, thank you so much. And just look for my email. I'll have all the little follow-up links and everything else, and stay in touch and have a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend. And hopefully this is a kickoff to your inauguration celebration, the moment we've all been waiting for 4 years. Is getting ready to happen in a few days. So definitely take advantage of it. And thanks for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you,
so much,
Robin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is
And
amazing.
before we go, Robin, I just want to give a quick shout out to my Jersey girls, Jessica Drass and Christine Black and Kelly Redcoles for being my ride or die as well with this process of helping you out in Georgia. So I didn't want to forget them in this whole process because they definitely were there before the holidays even started helping out.
Yes.
So
Thank
shout
you.
out to my
Thank you,
Jersey
Robin.
girl.
Hi.
Thank you, Robin from West Palm Beach, Florida,
Wonderful.
from Bebo Robs. We've been there for you.
Thank you so much. And there's so many people that are definitely interested in Florida. Me too. That's where I organized for Obama, and I still have friends there, and change is coming. So this whole time.
Yes, yes, thank you. Send it.
Thank you, Robin. You've been wonderful.
Bye. Oh, hey, Peggy. I didn't know you were on here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Peggy was one of our community mobilizers. Great job, Peggy.
Thank you. Couldn't have done it without you.
Same
Thank
here.
you, Peggy. Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely want to
Have
echo
a great
that.
evening.
And I just want to say, I'm sure everybody on this live stream, on the Zoom call, thank you, Robin, from the bottom of our hearts. You're just a true natural leader, and you just make the whole process just better, more fun. And I want to thank you. It's just been an honor to get to know you and the inspiration that you've given me personally. And I know everybody that you come in contact with the passion and the heart that just spills out of you, even when you're not trying. So thank you for being you, and thank you for sharing all your love and passion and talents with us to do this. And I'm so excited for what's next. So thank you.
Thank you. I think my mom's on here somewhere.
Thank you, Robin.
Her, she and my dad, they were the community mobilizers and organizers, and